Good, Aaron. Hey, welcome everyone. We're going to resume the meeting. And at this time, we are at item number 3 is correspondence. I have one item tonight. This is to our board members. I received an email from Kate Kelly, and I'll read it to you. Good morning, Keith. We are looking for volunteers for the Giant Pumpkin Party on October 4th. Would you please ask the board members if any of them can help? We are in desperate need of volunteers. Have them call Michelle at the Daniel Pierce Library at 985-7233. Thank you very much. Have a great day, Kate Kelly. So if anyone's interested, um, write that number down or see me later and I'll repeat it. Okay, they need some help for the pumpkin party on Saturday. Okay. Moving to item number 4 is public comments items that are on tonight's agenda. Anyone here? Okay. And moving to item number 5 is presentations and guests. And tonight we have a ready presentation by Ms. Erin Long and Mr. Frank Snyder.
All right, good evening, everyone. I just wanted to start by just sort of sharing a little bit of our journey that we've been on in the last couple of years. A couple years ago, we decided to step away from using MAPS testing, which was the NWEA, and move to iReady. MAPS was becoming a little more isolated in what we were testing our kids on and not really aligned to the standards as much as it used to be. And so we did a lot of research. We had spoken with a lot of colleagues around. We brought in the people from iReady, and we decided iReady would be a great platform for us. So last year was a lot of transitioning. Our teachers needed to learn how to use the system. Our kids needed to learn how to use the system, but we knew from there that our kids were getting individualized instruction, which was going to really pinpoint the areas that they needed to grow in. And so we adopted it, and now we're here in year 2, and we're going to share last year's results with you here in a little bit. What we can do with iReady that we couldn't do with MAPS, and we weren't using MAPS to its capacity, honestly, is we are now able to really track our cohorts from year to year, and it helps us with patterns and in identifying where our strengths are and then where we need to work on things more focused. But before Frank gets into that with you, I just want to talk a little bit about data and the reason we're into the professional learning communities and our purpose for all of that. You know, the one thing about data, it's got a little bit of a stigma to it. Teachers, we sometimes think it's a swear word because it's tough because we have to look at how our kids are really doing. But data truly doesn't even have any emotion. It really is, it's just kind of the way it is. It's not good news. It's not bad news. It's just a mirror of what we're doing and where we are. And so that's really been the work we've been doing to get to where we are. What's important is what we do with that mirror that we look into. And so that's been such a push of us this year. So tonight we're going to take a look at our assessments in grades 3 through 8, as well as our Regents exams, as well as what we've done with iReady. What you'll see in this presentation is that it has been very intentional what our progress monitoring looks like. We can identify where our instructional practices have really grown. Our professional development has helped grow our teachers. And then you'll also be able to see where we need to keep working. You'll also see from some of the presentation tonight that this assignments that we gave teachers for this school year perfectly aligned with their skill set. And so we were confident in some of the moves we made and the reasons behind that. So we'll be very anxious to see how the year goes. I have to give the administrative team and Frank all the credit for this. They've been really cranking and looking at the data and trying to figure out, like I said, where we're weak, where we're strong, where it aligns to the standards, and where it fits in our curriculum. So we're always rooted in our 4 questions that we're working on this year. What are our kids learning? How do we know they're learning it? What do what if we do if they don't know it? And what are we going to do when they do know it? And so that's been the focus of these professional learning communities for us. And the PLCs are going to be great for our teachers. We are moving into them. We're doing a lot of learning about ourselves, how we work as teammates, what our strengths are, and we're gradually going to start introducing the data that we've been digging apart for a few years. So I'm going to turn it over to Frank, and I'm going to let him kind of talk through the iReady, the regions, the growth, and some of the trend analysis that we've been looking at.
Thank you, Ms. Long. Good evening. So if you are into looking at graphs, this is definitely the presentation for you because we will be looking at lots of graphs. So really, this is a story about where we are now, but where we came from. So we're going to be going through, as Ms. Long said, iReady. Then we're going to be looking at some trends in 3 through 8 testing, current trends with the new standards, but also we're going to go back 12 years and kind of see where we started 12 years ago and where we have been now. And I think you're going to see some real good highlights of work our teachers have been doing. We'll get into regions growth, and then we're going to get into kind of some of our initiatives and why we're doing certain things. At any point, you can please stop and interrupt me if I'm talking about something you want more clarity on. Just let me know. So we're going to start with growth happens when we view change not as an obstacle, but as really the spark that drives us forward. So we're going to look. So as we go through these charts, I just want to remind everyone, these are our students. Each one of them is a mark on how well are we reading? How well is a new child in kindergarten learning their phonetic awareness? How well are we learning our algebraic expressions? So each point of data does represent someone that is in our building or was in our building. So when we reflect on it, how are we helping keep growing? How are we helping the kids we see every day take this information and move ourselves forward? So here we go. So iReady, this is iReady Diagnostic 1, which was in the fall last year of September. To some kids in 7th and 8th grade took it in May. Our elementary school took it in the beginning of June. So what you're seeing here is proficiency. What is a tier 1 student? So that's that 50th percentile kid on their metrics. So what that means, no matter where they are, it's if you're in 3rd grade and you are marked in one of the red here as a final diagnostic, you are on grade level when you walked out of our building. Could have been early grade level, but still grade level where you didn't need that really intense intervention when we're progress monitoring. So if you can see, kindergarten did phenomenal. We had teachers coming after the last diagnostic saying the kids is not reading to them anymore because it usually reads to them. I'm like, because your kids are doing so well, it has now moved them up to that level of where in 2nd grade it stops reading to them. So we really had some kids truly grow. Across the board, our kids did well. 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, not as big of jumps, but also there's sometimes not as much growth that happens in those years because of certain skills they're mastered or certain interventions that they just need some more time in. So this was for ELA, and this is for math. So we'll talk about math in a couple of our initiatives, and I'll start now, and I may come back to it a little while. Again, math, we had some that started off struggle, some that's learning the new program, but we did end very strong in a lot of areas. One of the things we are doing this year, our current math program, we're in our last year of our cycle with big ideas. So iReady had offered us a free pilot. So our kindergarten, 2nd grade, 4th grade, and 6th grade are piloting what's called Ready Math. It is different than iReady. It is the aligned curriculum for the state of New York, but also aligned to the lessons in iReady. So it's more of a cohesive program for teachers to use both Ready Math and iReady. So our teachers are trying it out. They were very generous to give us a pilot for all those grade levels at no cost to the district. We have training that's already been brought in. And some of the immediate feedback, we've been in school for 3 weeks. Some 2nd grade teachers said this program jumps right into it. The kids are in there. They are thinking about math in different ways than we had thought, and they like it. And our kids are starting to get it. It is a different way than what they may have been used to. But we're going to look at what iReady does for state proficiency and projected proficiency on the next couple of slides. Whatever we can do to better facilitate our kids to understand math, to apply math in different ways is what we have to do. And we're at that point where we either are going to continue with big ideas or we're going to do Ready Math. So another feature that iReady has is what's called projected proficiency. That is different. So I already measure students on a national based level for grade level preparedness. They also added in New York, what is a student going to get on the state exam? So in blue is the projected proficiency, and the red is what our kids scored. Now we like looking at this because sometimes, especially with a new program, does that give us the information we need? Is it really accurate? Is what it's telling me going to get my kids there? So to be in the projected proficiency, really you had to be towards the end of your grade level. So though you may have been in a tier one, you're just in third grade, you just got in there when your last assessment was, projected proficiency, you really had to be mid to the end of the year scoring on their different diagnostic. So we're pretty close. The ELA in most areas was almost on. Fifth grade was one of our ones that had a significant difference of 10 points. Sixth grade went in the right direction. Our kids were more proficient on the state exam. Our teacher does use some of iReady's materials that are specifically there to review for the state. It's separate. So I know she's been using that for quite a while, even before we had iReady. So it's really good to see some of the materials really line up and give us an idea if we're working with the interventions iReady says and our kids are moving, we can expect them to move on the state exam. So that was projected proficiency for ELA. Math was not as strong of a correlation. We had higher projected proficiencies than the state assessment. Another reason why we're moving towards that ready math to see if we can get those to more even out. This way, there's no surprises. Are we getting those priority standards done? Are we focusing our interventions on what our kids need and how do we know it? And the sooner we know it, the better off we're able to target our interventions. Any questions about iReady?
Use your microphone, please.
When we were talking about the grade levels jumping on and using the iReady for math, it was grades 3 and 5 didn't choose to do it. Was that a choice of the grade level? Was this strategically done where we were keeping some still with the other curriculum? How did we come to
Mr. Carbone and I had lots of meetings towards the end of the year. We had a couple big meetings and we put it out there for grade levels that were comfortable wanting to try to pilot it. So it just happened to be the even ones were all the ones that said, yes, we wanted to do it. So we really wanted champions who were going to dive in. We didn't want to force anyone's hand when we're really trying to get feedback. Is this program viable for our school and students? So the teachers were able to select as a grade
it?
level
It was a grade level.
decision.
Thank you.
I have a question. In the past with the MAPS assessment, the eighth grade math, children that were in the Regents track, they were not included within the assessment and the data that's presented. Are all of the eighth grade students included in this?
So
presentation?
in this set of data, the eighth grade honors class is not in here. This year we had the eighth grade honors students take them. So they are excluded in this graph. So any kids who took Algebra 1 last year in eighth grade did not do this assessment. Okay. So now our current, where did we fall on 3 through 8 grade testing for this year? So we did a little trend analysis. We did the last 3 years here. This is when the new next generation standards have gone. You can see our third grade in ELA has risen significantly over the last 2 years, almost more than doubling their percentage points. In math, we had it's stagnant. We had one group who did really well. And those spikes, the valleys and the dips is really where curriculum comes in. We don't want all our scores to totally be student dependent. So if you have a group that somehow had a real exceptional teacher or teachers, even in a math in say second grade, but then it's not so much there in third and then it comes back. We want to get our curriculum where our kids are constantly moving and getting stairs up. Our fourth grade did the best by far in both ELA and math. That group is very collaborative. They are working really hard to partner with each other. Fifth grade ELA has been very stagnant the last 3 years. They're hovering around that 30th percentile proficient. Our math has taken a dip. So for math last year we had Ulster Bosis come in to work with our math teachers in the secondary school. We have now transitioned that assistance and help down to our fifth and sixth grade. As you can see, both of our math in fifth and sixth have taken a dip. Last year, our main math teacher in 6th grade was out on leave for a little while, so we did have a sub for a significant portion of the time. Again, why having a curriculum that is very robust can help mitigate those things, because life does happen. 6th grade ELA, we had a strong group. And then the last 2 years, the red and the gray, those are both state averages there. So though it's a dip, they're still meeting the same thing as the state. Our ELA in 7th grade is a pretty stagnant. There's a slight increase. Math is another one of those dips and valleys. And we have actually, we'll talk about what we added into 7th grade math to support those students. ELA is pretty high, always at state average in 8th grade. One of our significant jumps is in our science thing. So last year was the first year of the next generation standards. And then this year we had a significant jump. That teacher worked very hard to really prepare her students to make sure that they were ready to take and read those questions and have the rigor. And then our 5th grade teacher, who I've had conversations with, they had a significant jump, almost another 10 points, 11 points. But we really talked about seeing the test. There is a lot of reading in that 5th grade science test. So we've already seen, and I was in his room the other day, of him inserting readings into a lesson. So they're doing weather. Normally they look at weather patterns and they would do their design and make a poster. He inserted reading because we've had explicit instruction about talking about how to do readings, how to come back to the reading. So they're making their poster. They're going back to the reading 2 days later, which is a good science of learning practice to give some space between the content and then do the comprehension, just to bring those retrieval practices and really deepen their understanding of his current material. So we're looking to see those continue and see how we work out for not only assistance in science, but that will help in our 5th grade. One of the things I already showed us was that our nonfiction text is a weakness across the board. So we have to really bolster and be intentional on reading those texts, doing good practices on teaching the content, doing some retrieval, doing some reading with paired partners, writing about it, and then being intentional about when we come back to revisit. So these are all things that are in the works currently that our data is telling us that we really need to do. So this is current year versus state proficiency. Again, we are in the blue. The state is in the red. You could see our 4th grade, again, is above state proficiency. I can't compliment that team for how hard they've worked. 5th grade is one of our areas we have to work the most in, and including math and ELA. In 6th grade, really our math department, as I said before, we're giving support just to get our kids where we need to go. We need to keep growing. And then in a couple of years, we want to see those blue bars being way above those red bars, because we have good kids and we have good staff that we just have to get the right materials and the right processes in place for our kids. So now we're going to look at historical trends. Does anyone have our current questions about our current snapshot about the state data? Okay. So historically, and I'm allowed to look at different level 1 and 2 at the RIC, so I can go back at least 12 years. So that's what we did. So 12 years ago, I believe in 14, down there is a second year of the Common Core standards. 22, 23 is the first year of the next gen standards. This is what we had pulled apart before. So compared to 12 years ago, we can see the light blue and light red are trend lines. Our kids are trending up in that grade level. So these are different cohorts of kids, but what this means is our teachers are becoming better at teaching that content at that level. Our kids are showing more proficiency as they go through. So we'll just kind of go through the grade levels. You could stop if you have any questions. We could see where there's some trends down and recovery trends, and we'll just make some discussion. So 4th grade, ELA and math, again, both trending up, with our last ones in 4th grade being some of their highest that they've had in the last 12 years, which again, that group is doing a phenomenal job. They are extremely collaborative. They stop by quite regularly in my office to discuss different ideas, and we are here to really help support them do that. 5th grade, so we have the light gray is the science. The trend line is up because there's only 2 years, so it's a little more extreme than it really will be once we get enough data points. We could see in 5th grade, we had some higher levels and we valleyed down. We went up, stagnant, up, and then back down. So we're really in that area where our curriculum just needs some support, because the valleys down, we don't really want to work on anymore. We have to make sure our instruction, no matter who's in the room, is solid and our kids are really able to comprehend. Sixth grade ELA and math, you can see both are trending up, which is fantastic. We did have the dip the last 2 years with our math curriculum with the new standards. So that's why we're doing targeted support for that grade level. Seventh grade is on the rise, though their numbers are not anywhere near where we think our students are capable of. We did start pretty low just 12 years ago. So moving in the right direction, maybe not at the speed that we would like or what we think our kids are capable of doing. And same with our eighth grade. So again, science, extremely proud of how hard our kids worked, how hard our teachers worked, really doubling their proficiency rate from last 2 years ago. And then we have some of our changes, and you could see COVID was at 2021, and then really our kids recovered back to where they were. COVID did not have as large of a proficiency effect on our kids as we did, which is a credit to our teachers and how hard they worked. But again, trending up from over the last 12 years. Any questions about grade level cohort trends?
Question about state testing. When my kids were younger, there was the big opt-out movement. Is that still a thing? Kind of past that. I don't really know where we are.
Much lower opt-out rates in the elementary school. I believe, Mr. Carbone, you can correct me, if you had a total of 15, that would have been high. So it wasn't even that high. A little more in the secondary. And then our eighth grade, some math students do not take the test, so a smaller proportion of kids. So then we looked at cohort trends. So we looked at grade level and year to year, but those are different kids every year. So that's more a reflection on how our teaching practice is doing. Cohort trends are they learning it? Are they retaining it? And are we filling in any gaps that a cohort may have? So this is last year's graduate eighth graders. You can see there's nothing in third grade because that was the year of COVID. And then we have some of the dips and valleys. You can see in seventh grade, we had a dip and back up. So where are we? We're kind of even with this grade level. So our high school is going to have some work to do to make sure we really identify where those gaps are. We now have 3-year trends on the state assessments where we can dig into saying, what did we miss and how can we help? Our current eighth grade, as you can see, and some of this data repeats just because it's stretched out. We had in fourth grade, a significant dip, and then we went back up, and we've had some slight dips since then. Our current seventh grade, as you can see, we had some really good proficiencies in that fourth grade class. That's a strong team. Dipped back down in fifth, and depending in ELA, we went back up in sixth grade, but math was that trend that we've kind of seen where it's gone down and why we have to give individualized support there. And now as we get short, there's less and less exams. So this is this year's sixth grade. Really, they haven't grown too much. So we really have to be intentional on when we do our MTSS periods. What are we giving our students? What does iReady say? It really breaks the kids down into skill level, but are we executing? Are we collecting our progress monitoring data to make sure we are getting the kids back on track to that upward trend? This year's fifth grade, they had a good third grade year, and they had a great fourth grade year. So we would like to see in fifth grade that they're all in the 70 percentile at least to really show some continued growth for them. And this is just our third grade, the first year they took it. We saw this data before. They're almost in the 50 percentile. We have to do a bar graph because otherwise there's just one little dot and it's very hard to read. Any questions about cohort trends? So now we're going to move on to the Regents data. This is really the part that gets the kids over the hump. Are we able to get them through the key Regents? And this is all changing, but right now it's relevant. They need their 5 Regents or 4 in a CDOS or 4 in that other piece that the state deems acceptable for graduation. So this is this current January and June Regents. Now January, we have a lot less kids taking the exams, but we can see kind of where we are. I'm going to preface Algebra 2 is down to 52%. Last year was at 100. we had almost 50% more kids take Algebra 2 this year than the year before with the new teachers. So we have really asked guidance and really asked our teachers to stretch some of our kids because they can do it. We just have to get it. It's better to struggle now and relearn it in college or in your senior year than to go to college and pay a lot of money and have to retake the class there. So we are asking our kids to do more. We are trying to push them because with the right support, our kids can get there. Really, our trends, and we'll look at the 3-year trends next. You can kind of see year on year where we stack up with ourselves. So here we go from 22 to 25. Just looking at June, we did not look at January because we did not always take all the regions in January. But we can see that our Algebra 1 is roughly the same part. It's up from where we started 4 years ago, but really 65 and 68 is essentially the same score. So we need to now really be proficient at what standards on this new algebra regions do we need to focus on? Which ones do we need to explicitly cover? How are we reviewing and going back? Something I learned in November. When am I getting a second dose of that? Am I getting it in December, January, February? Or am I waiting till May to get a second dose? So some of that is planning and being explicit at when are we retrieving it? When are we reviewing it again? Geometry, we gave a lot of support. Geometry was a struggle the last couple years. We saw a significant bump from 39 to 52, nowhere near where we would like it to be. So we're going to continue our support and growth there. Also doing the 3-year trends to really see where in our program do we need to be targeted. And then with the PLCs, where do we go backwards where some of our geometry pieces, which may not always be on the state assessment, are being missed or not being as focused on. So we have to also help those 10th graders, 9th and 10th graders get some of that pre-work before and being very intentional on where we do that. We talked about Algebra 2. Last year, we were very proud that we had 100%, but we had about 18 kids that took it. This year, we had over 30. Just a different mindset and just a different learning of that program for our teachers. ELA is one of the dips and valleys again. So to me, that is really where in our curriculum can we look for spots that we can fix so we're not at the mercy of just that group with the ups and downs. We really need to be up. That's one of the linchpin graduation requirements is that ELA one. Same with the algebra. We want kids to be successful the first time, maybe if they have to take it a second time, but we need to be targeted with our interventions. Global and U.S. history are always strong for us in the 80s. U.S. history has been in the 90s. So those teachers, I met with them today. They are very collaborative. They ask for their data almost as soon as the state releases it, so they can start planning before the school year even ends at where did we need to fix our curriculum? Where do we need to improve? What did we miss for our kids? And those are conversations they're having at the very end of June when most teachers are burnt out. So great department going on. Science is stagnant, so there's a brand new regents that we are taking this year. So with the science department, we're going to be very intentional of working with them to look at their curriculum, look at where are the new standards being done. There's only really one regents for us to look at for what kind of questions. But again, that is one of those tests that is heavily involved with being able to read and comprehend. So there are strategies that we'll get to in 7th and 8th grade that can help our living environment teachers. And they can also do, because if they can comprehend what's being asked, most of them are able to answer the question. We have chemistry. Not as many kids took it. So if you get one kid or two kids who do not do as well, you get a bigger swing. Earth science, again, is a brand new regents this year. So we have new labs to go through and really look at how are they going to help the kids learn how to answer the questions they're being asked to be proficient for graduation. And physics, though there is a new regents this year, we're able to maintain with the old regents so we can actually see one, so we can start doing some of that targeted analysis the following year. Any questions about the June regents trends?
Yes and no. Because I know in August there was a retake on Regents, right?
There were.
So how many students who failed this geometry test retook it in August?
I can get that for you. I have January and June's.
Okay.
And Miss Eberly's not here.
And do we
so-
know when we'll get the results of
We have
the
them.
You have them.
Right.
And any better?
No.
Okay.
So we talked about some of the initiatives that we're doing, but we'll kind of outline them a little more explicitly here. So this year in scheduling, there's something different that Ms. Eberly and myself and some of the guidance counselors worked on. We need to maximize our time with our kids. So we got a little creative with some of the scheduling, and we were able to give them these extra sessions. So instead of sitting in a study hall, we're able to give them 90 more math periods. That's a whole nother half a year of math instruction outside of their core instruction. We're able to give them 30 more sessions of science, ELA, and social studies. So we're able to almost give them a full year more with their teachers and instruction just by the way we formatted the schedule this year. Was not easy. It is a change in some of those things, but it is a necessary change. So I highlighted science and social studies because we are, as I described before, working on some of those reading and retrieval practices. We have two really main outline lessons that teachers can go through that are good practices of, one, they are aligned to their curriculum that they gave us, so they should already know about the topic. Now they can read about the topic. There's a whole retrieval practice, which is a science of learning piece where it just helps restructure that pathway. If you learn it right, it's easy. If you learn it wrong, it means the same in your brain. So we have to get them to learn it right the first time. So that's paired with some reading and clearly some writing. So there's different ways we're teaching our teachers how to pair their students based on their iReady reading Lexile data. So there's a median top with the top and the median. They share. So it's not as teacher directed, it's letting the kids have some interaction with each other. It's summarizing what each other reads. And then it's connected to our writing revolution practices we talked about before in the elementary school that's coming up. If they can write about it, then they're able to remember it. So these are just some focuses in helping them read in those content areas. And then we're enhancing some of our literacy thing. So we talked about our pilot. Notebook LM, if you haven't used it, is phenomenal for your personal life, but it really gives our students an opportunity and our teachers to do practice. It not only makes a podcast, it can make a video for kids to listen, then they can read the article, then they can answer the questions, then you can have a study guide review all in one tool that will do this all for our staff in a minute or so. Sometimes the videos are a little longer, but it's an extra tool in their toolbox to help some of their kids. If a kid is out because they're sick and they can upload their entire PowerPoint, give them the information so they can hear it and then come to the teacher with questions. It's just well done. The writing revolution is a very structured writing approach. It is for every subject area. And then to help enhance some of the nonfiction reading, we have purchased Newzela, depending on how you pronounce it. That is directly aligned with ARC, our core curriculum in the elementary school. So teachers that may be looking to supplement, say, their unit in social studies that goes through ARC, they're able to find articles directly paired with them, but they can also search for other ones. So it does streamline some of the ability for teachers to do. And it also aligns to Lexile Measure, which iReady does for our students. And then professional development, we talked about Ulster BOCES. They did 2 summers in the 2 days in the summer just to help our teachers do that Algebra for All initiative, help change how our 7th grade math will look with those extra 90 periods. We're continuing to work with our secondary staff and expanding to our 5th and 6th grade math teams. We have 3 iReady trainings, so that's using the diagnostic, the information in there, and the toolbox, which has activities for kids that are targeted to them. With the new math pilot, we have 6 trainings coming in for the second K2, 4, and 6. And then really our professional development committees is where we're going to be able to leverage all of this information, really start looking at it to get us really where we need to be. We like to talk about kids that are having issues, but we need to start talking about our practices. What are we doing to not just facilitate teaching, but really look at learning? And there is a difference between learning and teaching. And learning is the hardest part, and teaching is the craft where you have to learn to change and move on. So PLCs are giving us that opportunity to take our data and turn it into action. So this was a long presentation with graphs. Does anyone have any other questions about our initiatives, what we're doing, what where we're going, where we came from.
A question regarding the additional instruction for 7th and 8th grade. How does that work? How do you fit that into the day?
So I could take you upstairs and we can look at the board. It's structuring. So there, fifth and sixth have 3 core periods. So 3 core teachers. So now we have 3 core classes in the 7th and 8th grade, which gives us some flexibility in the schedule. Instead of being a study hall, we can pair it with gym, and then some students do have a study hall, but it's just the way it worked out to balance who's teaching what, where they're teaching it, and then it removes study halls essentially. I wish I could go through, but that was a couple months ago, the exact details and changing.
So the math teacher is the same math teacher the student would have. So there's
Yes, so they get their core with their teacher, and then they get that supplemental with the same teacher. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving to item number 6 is the superintendent's report by Ms. Ernwong.
Thank you. A couple things I'm excited to spotlight. If you have not checked out our Facebook, I want to give a shout out to Melanie Menke, our district public information officer. She has been doing a wonderful spotlight on our Tri-Valley staff who are also proud alumni, kind of showing the long-lasting impact of a Tri-Valley education. In addition, she has launched this Timeless Tuesday, which is a really creative way to share some pictures of our former students. She's going through yearbooks and she's putting them up, and the comments have been just adorable to watch. People are looking to see who's on there. They're reminiscing about some of their times together in school, and so it's been a wonderful addition to our social media. I do want to note that there will be no Board of Education meeting on Thursday, October 23rd, as it coincides with the opening day of the New York State School Boards Conference, so some of us will be at that conference. But I would like to propose holding a board retreat on Thursday, November 6th from 6 to 8 p.m. So I will put that in an email to everyone, and if you can let me know if that date and time works for you, we'd like to get together and just do some board work. Unfortunately, we are closely monitoring the potential shutdown of the federal government at the end of September and the impact it's going to have on New York State. We are hearing from a BOCES meeting last week that there's potentially a $39 billion deficit hitting New York next year. I will be at the House of Delegates meeting this Sunday in Albany, and we'll be learning more about what our fiscal outlook is. And we've already had talks within our administrative team and our TVTA to start to brace for and look at decisions that we might need to make that will not impact program and students. But we are going to work together on that through the year. We have received a FOIL on September 12th from Cindy Mickelson for the tax levy computation for the following years, 25-26, 24-25, 23-24, and 22-23, and the tax rate computation for the following years, 25-26, 24-25, 23-24, and 22-23. We received a FOIL appeal on September 12th from Janet Diamond for the collective bargaining contracts for all bargaining units and current employment contracts for all administrators and non-union employees. That's all I have.
Thank you. Moving to item number 7 is items the board wants pulled from tonight's agenda. Anybody? Okay, moving to item number 8, the consent agenda. Can I have a motion to accept the consent agenda, the entire consent agenda? Motion?
Motion.
Motion by Jerry, second by Rose. Please proceed to vote.
That is unanimous.
It is unanimous, thank you. Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education does hereby approve the entire consent agenda, categories 8 through 12. Moving to item number 13 is board committee reports. anything on that?
I can report on our Goose Committee. So we met on the 17th here in the collaboration space. In attendance was myself, Pat, George, Aaron, and Keith, and we had a meeting to kind of brainstorm and go over some mitigating issues to try to control the geese right now, and then what we're going to do potentially in the spring to control the population in a very humane manner. I want to make sure that's put out there. We investigated some things we can do right now. Some easy things, simple as keeping the grass higher instead of mowing it as often as we do. Erin was going to go after the meeting to speak with Jesse about some potentially putting an air dancer to kind of scare the geese away on that back field, potentially some spinning decoy dogs to keep some motion out there to potentially keep the geese away. And then we're also going to investigate some other potential repellents that are all natural, and interviewing or meeting with somebody from the New York City about some water collections around campus that can possibly we can look at to potentially keep the geese away also. So we're going to meet again on Wednesday, the 8th of October here in the collaboration space at 5:00 p.m. To just regroup and go over our findings from the last meeting.
Great, thank you. Moving to item number 14 is old business. I don't believe we have anything tonight. Moving to item 15 is public comment session for items that are not on tonight's agenda. Anybody? Okay, moving to item number 16, new business. I have 8 items. First one is 16A. It is an action. Can I have a motion for the 2025 to 2026 Tri-Valley Mentor Program Handbook? Can I have a motion to accept that? Motion by Kerry.
Second.
Who is that? George? Second by George. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote.
That is unanimous.
That is unanimous. Thank you. Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education does hereby approve the 2025 to 2026 Tri-Valley Mentor Program Handbook as attached to the public portion of the agenda. Moving to item number 16B is the 2025 tax warrant correction for Sullivan County. It is an action. Can I have a motion for the resolution of the 2025 tax warrant correction, Sullivan County?
Motion.
Motion by Rose,
Second.
second by Nicole. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote.
That is unanimous.
That is unanimous. Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education does hereby accept and approve the correction of error application received from the Sullivan County Real Property Tax Services on September 11th, 2025, as attached to the public portion of the agenda. Be it further resolved that the Board of Education does hereby direct the district's tax collector to update the tax bill of the property addressed by the error found and corrected, and thus issue a new bill for the owners of the concerned property. Moving to item number 16C is the 2025 tax warrant correction for Ulster County. It is an action. Can I have a motion for 16C 2025 tax warrant correction, Ulster County? Motion by Jerry, Second?
Second.
Second by Nicole. Any discussion?
What caused that this year? We normally don't see that.
So, sorry. So what happened here is we got that from Ulster County. So Ulster County sends us the tax roll. And on this particular one, they had forest land that should be taxed differently, and Ulster County missed that. So then they caught it after the fact when the homeowner got it. They appealed to the county, and the county sent us a corrected tax roll.
Sullivan County was the same way.
Yep. It was a different case. It was for that one, the person qualified for enhanced star, and Sullivan County credited them with basic star. We don't typically get them. When I met with the Sullivan County tax person, he was like, pulled me aside, and he's like, I just got to apologize in advance. There's one coming. We blew it, So, but yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Anybody else? Okay, please proceed to vote.
That is unanimous.
It is unanimous that be resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education does hereby accept and approve the application for corrected tax roll received from the Ulster County Department of Finance Real Property Tax Service Agency on September 12th, 2025, as attached to the public portion of the agenda. Be it further resolved that the Board of Education is hereby direct the district's tax collector to update the tax bill of the property addressed by the error found and corrected, and thus issue a new tax bill for the owners of the concerned property. Moving to item number 16D is the acceptance of donations. It is an action. Can I have a motion to accept 16D, acceptance of donations?
Motion.
Motion by
Hartman.
Tammy,
Tammy? I'll second it.
second by Travis.
Yes.
Any discussion? Please proceed to vote.
That is unanimous.
That is unanimous. Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education does hereby accept the following donations: 30 boxes of cake mix, 30 containers of frosting, and 30 cans of soda in place of eggs, oil, and water from Mr. Andrew Boresic, with an estimated value of $100 to Tri-Valley Cares and other local food banks. $50 from Ms. Lori Oristano to the Tri-Valley FFA. A cleaned and preserved wedding dress from Ms. Jennifer Thigi and Ms. Caitlin Thigi to the Tri-Valley Theater Program. Thank you. Moving to item number 16E is the Emergency Response Plan. It is an action. Can I have a motion to accept the 16E, the Emergency Response Plan? Motion by Tammy,
Second.
second by Travis. Any discussion?
I just had one question. In reading this, it says as attached to the public portion of the agenda, but I only see it under executive content. Is this private? Is that?
So I know we were trying to get on the public portion. We had to redact some of it because when we went through it a little bit clearer, what we noticed was that in the executive district safety plan, it will actually give the account number for our Central Hudson account, our gas account, all of that. So if somebody saw that, they really could just try to use our account number. So we redacted some of that information because if we were an emergency, we needed to call, NYSEG or electric and gas, we would have to give our account number, and it is in that plan.
Anybody else? Okay, please proceed to vote.
That is unanimous.
That is unanimous. Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education does hereby approve the Tri-Valley Central School District's 2025 to 2026 emergency response plans as attached to the public portion of the agenda. Moving to item number 16F is finalized AS-7. It is an action. Can I have a motion to accept item 16F, finalized AS-7? Motion by Jerry. Second. Second by Tammy. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote.
That is unanimous.
That is unanimous. Thank you. Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education does hereby accept and approve the finalized 2024 to 2025 AS-7 from Sullivan Bose's in the amount of $4,723,742.88. Moving to item 16G is the instructional service agreement. It is an action. Can I have a motion to accept the 16G instructional service agreement? Motion?
Motion.
Motion by Rose. Second.
Second.
Second by Travis. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote.
That is unanimous.
That is unanimous. Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education does hereby approve the instructional service agreement between the Hawthorne Cedar Knolls Union Free School District and the Tri-Valley Central School District as attached to the public portion of the agenda. And the last one is 16H, is the Memorandum of Understanding for Kimberly Decker. It is an action. Can I have a motion to accept 16H, the Memorandum of Understanding for Kimberly Decker? Motion? Motion by Jerry. Second. Second by Tammy. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote.
That is unanimous.
That is unanimous. Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education does hereby approve the memorandum of agreement between the Tri-Valley Central School District, Mrs. Kimberly Decker, as attached to the public portion of the agenda. Moving to item number 17 is board comment session. Nicole?
I'm all set.
Pat?
Just a quick question for Erin about college classes that our students are enrolled in. Reimbursement was not mentioned in the paperwork that came home. Where are we with that?
The letter that should have been sent home has a whole paragraph in there that talks about a $25 reimbursement. So maybe that didn't go out yet? Okay, so the letter's created. It may not have gone out yet. So I know I've proofread it, but there is a section in there that talks about the $25 reimbursement for, I think you have to maintain a B in the class. Yep, I'll make sure that gets out soon.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Rose? George?
And maybe a letter to the donors, thanking them. Also, I'd like to thank the administration for their monthly reports. I really enjoy it and I get a lot out of it. So thank them. Also, I'd like to talk a little bit about, which I've talked about before, is the yearbook. And going back, and some of you have been through this type of yearbook, Ursa Magna. I don't think anybody aware of what that really means. It was put together by our founding fathers here for a reason. Ursa Magna means Great Bear. And what better meaning for Tri-Valley is Great Bear. So I'd like maybe to have the board look at how we put the yearbooks together, because I know now we have a high school and then there's a separate one for the elementary. But it used to be in a total one book. Now, one reason is the parents would buy one and they could get everybody. And that would be maybe they had kids in high school and the elementary and be more reasonable in cost. But what better way to put it in one book for the entire school? That says it all. And I believe that everybody in this school should be recognized. I don't think it's done well enough in the books that is presented now. It could be done better. And no disrespect to any of them. I know there's a cost involved, but I don't know what the books years ago, which was done up until, I don't know, 2010, maybe a little bit later. I don't know why it was changed, but take a look at it. I think you would enjoy it better. I think it's put together better. No disrespect to the ones that are put together now, but it's more individualized. So I think, again, putting it all in one book would be a better fit for Tri-Valley. The cost, I don't know about. So, look, if the board has to put in a little cost to it, so be it. Let's try to get the whole community involved, the whole school district involved, and every single person that's in this school, including the maintenance, the faculty, the administration, and the board in one location. So take a look at it. Thank you.
Gary? Gary?
I just have a question about open house. So in the past, was it always at 5:00 p.m.?
I'm not sure about the time. Do you think that was one of the barriers?
I think I was one of 25 parents that
Yes.
attended in the
Mhm.
secondary school, which is, I have a senior. I look forward to it every year. You meet the teachers, you look at the curriculum, you get an idea of what's going on. And when we originally met up in the theater, I looked around and I literally counted the people that were sitting there. So I mean, as parents, we should have the opportunity, but I think 5:00 is way too early. People were literally running in to make sure that they got there for opening remarks before they headed out to the classrooms.
Good to
So
know.
it's a struggle, I think, for working parents to get here.
Yeah, I know Mrs. Eberly was brainstorming with me a little bit yesterday about even attaching some type of showcase to open house, so we just naturally draw more people in. But if the time is a barrier, that's definitely something we should consider.
And
We have multiple study halls in the middle, so if there was a showcase or something going on, you don't have that lag time of waiting around to meet with the next teacher for the next session that the bell rang for. But really disappointed that only like 25 parents showed up, but I think it was the time, and people are really kind of limited in getting here.
This was the first year I've ever missed of attending an open house. So,
Yeah, this was the
yeah.
least attend. I mean, we've been doing this for a long time. I've never seen a sparse group of people attend open house, and it's a disservice to the teachers who are here staying late as well. So, just seeing both sides of the card.
do
That's all
we
I have.
think, though, that we can put out a feeling survey? Because as a parent of the younger side of the district, I respect that 5 to 6 o'clock time a lot more. And I think tonight was very well received, better than last night. Whereas if it was 7 to 8 o'clock or 6 to 7, that's harder for a parent with younger children. That's bedtime. So maybe a district, right, pulse check, see where everybody's feeling, because it might not be same situation for high school as it is for the elementary.
Sure. Yeah. Great information.
The only thing I would add to that is sporting events should be also taken into consideration.
Mhm.
I know it's hard to, know when everything is going, but
Yeah, that's tough. This is a tough time of year. I can remember when my son was playing at a football game. I ran over and watched the first half, but I had to get back for my own open house. So that's scheduling, but it is something we need to be mindful of.
I do want to say that the calendar is phenomenal because it does outline everything, like what's going on. I didn't know that open house was like 5:00 last night, but it's right on our calendar, like it's right on our refrigerator, so you actually see what's going on.
Yeah.
So kudos to you guys in doing that because it is super helpful.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Calendar came out great. Thank you.
Christopher?
I just would like to go back to a point that Miss Long said early on into the board meeting. She talked about the giant pumpkin party volunteering. So I am actively advertising that on my social media campaign and the new volunteer club, which I would also like to quickly say we had our first meeting today. I think event went very well. I have a lot of people that, even though they couldn't make it to the first meeting, they're still going to be in the club. And I'd just like to take a second to appreciate everyone on the board that was able to approve of the club, approve of the club advisor, and everyone who's helped me along the way to build the club to where it is now.
Can I ask a question of Chris? So, Chris, I sat through open house today for the 5th and 6th graders. My daughter's in 5th grade, and one of their the social studies teacher was talking about how they have a civics project and they have opportunities to earn a point for their volunteer. Do we think at any time we can kind of have a collaboration, including these younger children that eventually, well, currently they're looking up to you and hope to follow in your footsteps?
I think that would be a great idea. I'm really trying to get this volunteer club open to as many students as possible. I've only been able to get it to as low as 7th grade, but if I could inspire students in the elementary to even volunteer, I will do as much as I can, advertising to them, and really just making sure early on that we have people who are going to be leading and who will be able to join the club even after my graduation.
If you can, Chris, pop into those American government classes because the students there need the hours.
Thank you, Christopher.
Who's the point of contact for the pumpkin party from the phone number you gave before?
It is,
it Chris?
It is Michelle from the Daniel Pierce Library, and her phone number,
I have that, the 7233.
yes,
All right. got it.
985-7233.
All right. Thank you. I just
Yeah.
want to say thank you so much for presenting. I know it was a lot of information to throw in a short amount of time. We do appreciate that. I only followed like half of it, but I tried my best. But it was a lot crammed in there. Thank you for that. No, it's great. And just on the safety side of life, Aaron, thank you for today for taking the tornado warning seriously for the kids and staff. We really do appreciate that. Lock their stay in place. I mean, thank God everybody's safe, but that was a great thing. Thank you.
Okay, so regarding the board retreat on November 6th, it's a Thursday. I would appreciate it if any board members have a topic they're interested in talking about, that reach out to me and we can kind of create an agenda. All right, I know everyone may have something good. Okay,
Time?
it is 6 o'clock, 6 to 8, I think.
Thank you.
Okay, moving to item number 18, adjournment. Is an action. Can I have a motion to adjourn? Motion
Second.
by Jerry, second by Nicole, a second by Rose. Please proceed to vote.
That is unanimous.
That is unanimous. The Board of Education is adjourned at 8:16. Good night, everyone. Thank you.